Are you tired of the same old story? Are you ready for a seismic shift, a bold declaration that this time, things will be different for your Toronto Maple Leafs? Because right now, directly from the heart of Leafs Nation, where every corner echoes with the passion of the blue and white faithful, an avalanche of news is descending, promising to shake the very foundations of this team. Get ready for changes, for audacious decisions, and for names that could finally reshape the destiny of our beloved franchise. Last season was etched in our collective memory by frustrations, by the cruel sting of injuries, and by a premature playoff exit that still haunts the hearts of every fan. It felt like a broken record, a cycle of disappointment that seemed impossible to escape. But now, with a new coach, Craig Berube, at the helm, and a palpable spirit of reform brewing behind the scenes, the Maple Leafs management is determined to erase what didn't work and rewrite the narrative. What once seemed like an inescapable loop of almosts and what-ifs is beginning to crack. General Manager Brad Treliving, once again, is proving he's not afraid to take risks, to push the boundaries, because if the Leafs truly want something different, they'll have to do things differently. The initial tremor that rippled through the backstage of Bud's country was the strong link between the Leafs and one of the top remaining free agents on the market, Jack Roslovic. At first glance, his name might not send shivers down the spines of those dreaming of superstar acquisitions, but delve deeper, and you uncover a player with valuable attributes and an underrated potential that could be precisely what Toronto needs. Roslavic, who notched 22 goals and collected 39 points last season, remains a highly versatile piece, capable of seamlessly transitioning between center and wing and contributing significantly on the power play. However, his true, understated value lies in his 5-on-5 play. 21 of his 22 goals last season came at even strength, a testament to his ability to consistently produce in the flow of the game, something Toronto has struggled to maintain at times. Furthermore, his 54.1% face-off win rate was the best of his career, adding another layer of utility. Roslavic also stands out for his consistency. Even if he has never exploded into a perennial all-star, he reliably delivers. And that, my friends, is exactly the type of profile that seems to attract Brad Treliving. Underrated players who can deliver more than they cost, players who can quietly but effectively elevate the team's performance. Yet, bringing in Roslavic isn't a simple addition. It necessitates clearing crucial cap space. Names like David Kampf, Kaye Jarnkrok, and Nick Robertson immediately surface on the list of possible exits. Toronto is actively looking to move Kampf's $2.4 million contract, which extends through 2027, and is carefully assessing what they could get in return for Robertson, a name that, as you'll soon discover, will resurface in this very script. The strategic calculus here is clear. Roslavic represents a defensive downgrade compared to Kampf, but a significant offensive upgrade, especially if he can crack the 20-goal mark again within Craig Berube's system. The fit could be particularly effective if Roslavic is deployed on the third line, shielded and supported by more physical and defensively responsible players. With a formidable array of centers already in place, including Austin Matthews, John Tavares, Max Domi, Nick Roy, and Scott Laughton, there's no shortage of versatility down the middle. What's truly missing is cap space and perhaps a touch more boldness in roster construction. Roslavic's arrival wouldn't be a superficial change. It would represent a subtle yet impactful shift in the team's offensive identity, offering added depth to a roster that in several stretches of last season looked creatively drained. But what then becomes of Nick Robertson? And here, we begin to cross into the territory of our second major headline. A familiar figure in the swirling vortex of trade rumors, Nick Robertson continues to be the most frequently mentioned name behind the scenes. The young prospect who so often dazzled in preseason showcases, who once promised to be the electrifying future of the Leafs, now seems increasingly distant from fitting into the team's immediate present. His trade requests have reportedly piled up, and although he recently re-signed with Toronto for 1 year at $1.825 million, everything indicates that this renewal is merely a bridge to a new destination. It's a pragmatic move, ensuring he remains an asset the Leafs can leverage, rather than losing him for nothing. In the cold, calculating corridors of the NHL, the name Yegor Chinakhov has surfaced strongly as a potential centerpiece in a trade involving Robertson. Chinakhov, a 24-year-old Russian winger, is physically strong, defensively committed, and possesses an upward trajectory still very much in progress. Reports suggest Chinakhov is unhappy with his situation in Columbus, and Toronto, ever vigilant for undervalued talent, sees in him a potential perfect fit for Berube's demanding, structured system. According to the ever-reliable Elliot Friedman, the idea of a simple one-for-one swap, Robertson for Chinakhov, is unlikely. Columbus, quite rightly, wants more, and perhaps they are justified in their demand. Chinakhov was the 21st overall pick in the 2020 NHL draft, a higher pedigree than Robertson. Despite experiencing his own share of ups and downs, he's coming off a season where he tallied 16 goals and 13 assists in just 53 games. These numbers, when extrapolated over a full season, surpass Robertson's production and suggest a greater consistency and readiness for NHL impact. On top of that, his physical presence is notable. Standing 6 feet 1 inch and weighing 205 pounds, he plays a style of hockey that is far better suited for the bruising, relentless demands of playoff hockey. If this deal were to materialize, it could solve two pressing problems for the Leafs simultaneously: the ongoing stalemate with Robertson and the lingering lack of a defensively reliable winger within Toronto's top 9 forward group. But as always, it all hinges on what Toronto is willing to add to the offer. A second-round pick? A mid-tier prospect? The fan base, while passionate and often divided, seems to agree on one thing: it's time to turn the page on Nick Robertson, and Chinakhov might just be the exhilarating new beginning this team desperately needs. Now brace yourself, because if you thought things were already heating up, it's time to enter the third and most explosive chapter of this unfolding saga: the ultimate irony. Jake DeBrusk, the Leafs killer, in blue and white? Jake DeBrusk. Yes, him. The Leafs killer. The forward who, for years, tormented Toronto's defense, wearing that hated Boston Bruins jersey. The one who once famously boasted in the playoff hallways, "I own Toronto." Well, now, in a twist of fate so deliciously ironic, it almost feels scripted. That very same player might soon be donning the blue and white at Scotiabank Arena. According to a bold proposal floated by Heavy.com, the Leafs are reportedly interested in acquiring DeBrusk, now with the Vancouver Canucks, to fill the gaping void left by Mitch Marner. The proposed deal, a blockbuster in its own right, would see DeBrusk head to Toronto, while Brandon Carlo, Nick Robertson, and a 2027 fourth-round pick would go to Vancouver. DeBrusk posted an impressive 28 goals and 20 assists last season, numbers that speak for themselves and immediately address Toronto's top 6 scoring needs. He's also renowned for stepping up in the biggest moments, evidenced by his 47 points in 86 career playoff games. He's a born competitor, a player who thrives under pressure, and perhaps that's exactly what the Leafs need right now. Someone hungry, proven under the intense scrutiny of the postseason, and ready to deliver when it counts the most. Of course, this trade is not without its controversies. Brandon Carlo, a trusted defenseman who the Leafs had recently acquired and invested in, would be a significant loss. He brings a steady, reliable presence to the blue line. However, with 8 defensemen currently under contract and an urgent, undeniable need to reinforce the wings, sacrificing Carlo may be the necessary, albeit painful, price. Robertson, as previously discussed, is already on his way out, making his inclusion in the deal a logical next step. And a fourth-round pick in 2027, in the grand context of a deal for an immediate impact player, is a manageable cost. The sheer irony of seeing DeBrusk, the former villain, wearing the blue and white will undoubtedly be a talking point for years, but more than poetic, it could be profoundly strategic. Toronto urgently needs to fill the offensive chasm left by Marner, and DeBrusk is one of the few available players who offers that immediate proven impact. What do these 3 stories, the pursuit of Roslovic, the potential trade for Chinakhov, and the shocking possibility of acquiring DeBrusk, have in common? They collectively paint a vivid picture of a team operating at a high level, meticulously navigating short-term salary cap constraints and a partial rebuild. all without for a moment abandoning the burning ambition to win. The possible arrival of Roslovic would bring much-needed depth and versatility to the offense. The trade for Chinakhov would inject youth, relentless energy, and a tactical commitment that aligns perfectly with Berube's vision. And DeBrusk, the ultimate wild card, could be the game-changing, playoff-proven force that finally prevents the Leafs from another agonizingly early playoff exit. But what's truly at stake here goes far beyond mere statistics and roster spots. It's about the team's identity, the willingness to let go of players like Robertson and even Carlo, who in other eras would have been considered core untouchable pieces, shows that Brad, Treliving, and Craig Berube no longer want to live off promises. They want tangible results. They want a team built for the grueling demands of the playoffs, not just the regular season. For the loyal Leafs faithful, this period means days of uncertainty, of holding your breath with every rumor, but also of immense opportunity. The Blue Army knows, deep in their hearts, that great rewards almost always require significant sacrifice. And perhaps, just perhaps, this is the season where those calculated risks finally, gloriously turn into victories. Because the Big Maple can't wait any longer. The time for rehearsals is definitively over. And with that, my friends of Leafs Nation, we close another intense and emotional chapter of our journey in Boys in Blue news. If your heart raced with these possibilities, if your mind is buzzing with the implications of these potential moves, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, tell us in the comments which of these 3 stories you believe could truly change the course of the Leafs' legacy. The future is being written right now, with every rumor, every trade, every bold decision, and you, the passionate fans, are an integral part of it. We'll be here, breaking it all down every step of the way. See you next time. Go Leafs. Go!